Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Ben on Gyruda Bomberman, a list he's put up excellent results with, versus Breton on Reanimator. This is Rodney's list. Work with Rodney to go from a kind of homebrew list that he brought in, checking out Legacy at first, and has now found his way toward a highly competitive deck that's able to win against the best players, get those incredible draws, and this might be one of them. He has an unmasked pitching Gristlebrand, taking Chalice, got the Entomb, Baracus on the other side, but it's not really a great answer to Gristlebrand, as the real damage is drawing 14 cards after you animate him. Blast Zone in hand. I mean, we've got the Dance of the Dead off the top. He just ripped that off the top like an absolute savage. I think he did. Dance is going to bring back Bristlebrand. He'll get bounced, but there's going to be 14 cards, and that will very likely be enough to win right here. Breton's taking a look at these 14 cards. Take a note of Blast Zone. Now, this might have been correct to... I don't know, it's so tough. So, I'll just think out loud on this. Blast Zone can interact with these enchantments. Dance of the Dead, Animate Dead. It's just really slow. Lion's Eye Diamond can't accelerate that. You just got to get an extra counter on there. Could be very strong. Like if you go first and have enough acceleration, you could possibly have a Blast Zone out to blow up a Dance of the Dead in response to World Gorger, which would actually stop the combo from killing you. Now, you might still have Bristlebrand to contend with. Breton's moving to the end step, discarding. Quite useful getting World Gorger and Bristlebrand back into the bin for any other dance or animate effects. But for those unfamiliar, World Gorger Dragon sets up an infinite loop where it enters the battlefield, exiles all your other permanents, and then they remain exiled until World Gorger Dragon leaves the battlefield, where he has a leaves the battlefield trigger to return those permanents. Now, there's a lot of points where you can interact with that. If it's not interacted with, World Gorger will flicker in and out of the game, as he will... Well, he'll flicker in and out of the graveyard, more accurately. He'll enter the battlefield, exile everything else. When Animate Dead or Dance of the Dead leaves, he'll go to the graveyard. That'll bring all the other permanents back. Each iteration of that is going to allow you to tap your lands for mana, and you can do that infinitely. Now, Breton also has Piranha Marsh, meaning every iteration does 1 point of damage. Or I believe Piranha Marsh is actually they lose 1 life, even better. So Ben is taken out there by the World Gorger loop. Blast Zone is a card that could interact with it if it was just a little bit slower, but that's the main thing about this deck. It's all about speed. Very often, it's going to mulligan anything that doesn't have a turn 1 or turn 2 win. And a turn 2 win is really going to need to have some type of disruption. Unmasked, Grief, Thoughtseize, lots of targeted discard. This is not like other Reanimator decks that has access to filtering and card draw, things like Faithless Looting. Not part of the mix. This is mono black. It's actually quite affordable for a Legacy deck as well. Well under $1,000. I would guess probably in the $500-600 range, depending on your sideboard choices. A pretty inexpensive deck to build. Very fun, very powerful. The little glass cannon-ish. If people are very prepared for it, you're going to have a hard time against cards like Leyline of the Void. A variety of strategies can be used to deal with that, though. I mean, black actually has enchantment removal now, which is absolutely wild. I'm very surprised that they actually ended up doing that. Historically, that was something that black was just completely off limits to black. Getting rid of enchantments, something it just couldn't do. enchantments that really hated out black strategies, they just kind of lost to them. Now we've got Feed the Swarm and a few other things that can make people sacrifice an enchantment. We're not quite at the point where it's a Reverent Silence or Tranquility style effect where it gets rid of all enchantments, but something. There is Powder Keg and Ratchet Bomb for smaller stuff. But Feed the Swarm in general is a incredible printing in terms of the power level. I don't know if it's really for the best that they opened up the color pie that much, but at least it's flavorful in that there's some life loss involved. Let me know what you think about color pie shifting around, if you think that those lines should kind of be held once they're open. That is it. Eternal formats. Those cards live forever. You shift that color pie. Available for players moving forward. Probably goes along like personality lines if I had to guess. Like conservative people probably would rather have the roles held in place, giving card drawing to white. They'd probably be very opposed to. More liberal people might be more inclined to just open it up, see what happens. Fairer to all of the colors. Companions are something I probably would have rather they didn't do, though. Gyruda Bomberman makes incredible good use. A few other decks. Yorion, Sky Noodle. Ends on a mull to 5 here. This is what tends to happen post-board. Breton's also on a mull to 5. A lot of the time when people are bringing in graveyard hate, they're going to go ahead and mulligan until they find it. Here, Ben actually just mulligan and settling for a Chalice at 1, which honestly could be enough. You have an Unmasked grabbing the Salvagers. Pitching Chain of Smog. Going to be probably a really important way for Breton to win. He might have another Chain of Smog in hand. Urza's Saga picking up in an absolute train wreck of a game. Both players mulling to 5. We've got some discard. We've got Chalice shutting down options. Both players really making the most of the few resources they have, but Urza's Saga is going to pull way ahead. A single land making a pair of 5/5s. Unreal how powerful this card is. Lion's Eye Diamond. Another LED could... Oh, he's actually got it already. Very good. So Gyruda could come out next turn and be cast. So you can add them to your hand, and then you can actually just float the mana and then add them to your hand and cast them. This is dangerous. Sure that he needs to. Depends on what the life totals are. Really paying attention to the attacks. I think this is the first attack for the second construct. Probably just one more turn left. Oh, wow. Just when you have it absolutely all. Salvagers off the top. And Gyruda is going to grab a Grief. Chain of Smog left in hand. Just 1 mana. That's going to do it. No real way forward with Chalice stopping any type of Dark Ritual shenanigans. That was brutal. Chalice, very, very powerful block component. There's some answers printed. Powder Keg and Ratchet Bomb come to mind as good options for mono black. Breton maybe adjusting his sideboard for that. He's going to be on the draw here. I'm sorry, on the play here, so he may actually have a hand that can just straight up win before Chalice hits the board. Over the shuffling. Oh, double ley line. Yikes. But a Sedgemoor Witch on the first turn, this could be over very fast anyways. Leyline, of course, shutting off the entire graveyard plan. He's got the 2 mana as well. Chain of Smog combos with this to make infinite guys, and Plunge into Darkness is going to dig. This Sedgemoor Witch is going to make a 1/1 black and green pest every time that a spell is played. Plunge is going to likely go ahead and find the chain. Plunge is not played very much. You can sack any number of creatures and then gain 3 life and then pay X to look at the top X. So this pest actually could have been sacrificed as well. Sedgemoor triggers and the trigger resolves beforehand, but here it is, Chain of Smog. If Ben doesn't have any interaction, this is going to be game over, but he does. He's got the Spatial Contortion. That's a deep cut right there. +3, -3. He's got to pay 3 life for the ward. But he's just going to have some pests. Not many. He ends up discarding his entire hand for not infinite 1/1s. Certainly worth it for infinite, but just a couple of them, not ideal. That is a blowout card. Lodestone Bauble, a potential win condition with Auriok Salvagers. And there is a Salvagers. So that is going to do it. Salvagers is going to loop. I didn't actually catch where that extra mana came from. It looks like we've got Opal. Maybe he looped Opals or something. But infinite damage with Walking Ballista as well. He could have won either way. Walking Ballista or the Lodestone Bauble. When you have infinite mana, you can pretty much win however you want. And Bomberman takes that one down in 3 against a very powerful mono black budget reanimator build.